We are always good to speak to you. So more people travelling this long weekend, at least compared to lockdown last year, which was a hard lockdown. But is it translating to significant income for your hard-pressed sector?
Well, indeed, we have a lot of people that have booked our establishments and that have rented cars that are going to various types of accommodation and activities. And it is better than last year, because last year this time around we were in a complete halt. And a lot of people were hoping that, the 3 weeks lockdown, the initial lockdown would end and we'll go back to work. Now things are looking better. I must say that, we operate only now on domestic leisure travel. The domestic government travel and corporate travel is still, non-existent or just restarting. So long weekends are actually the times where, we start to see the numbers going up and we start to see many people going, to various locations within the country. So it is better. We hope that it continues this way. And we do thank South Africans for the support that they're giving us.
How sustainable, though, is income based on corporate and leisure travel in South Africa? Because those, I don't imagine, are the largest ways of making money.
No, absolutely. Pre-COVID, we will make money from corporate travel and government travel. Then we'll supplement it with domestic leisure travel. And it will make a good base for domestic travel. Then it will get international on top of it, which will then make it sustainable. At the moment, with domestic leisure travel, if you look at it, many people have given, 50% plus discounts. So even when you see a hotel full, it's still full on mostly half a price. So which means that from income point of view, they are still getting half of what they were supposed to be getting, based on what they used to get pre-COVID. Again, it means that it is not necessarily sustainable, but it greases the wheels of the value chain, and then we start to move. But from sustainability point of view, there's still a long way to go. The prices are low, and the input costs have not gone down. Input costs, like your electricity price, your water prices, your rates and taxes, they're still the same. So we're operating on half the price to the consumers, but input costs are still the same.
I'm curious then about the conversations that you're possibly having with the tourism department and government as a whole, because currently a lot of countries are perhaps not even officially, but they are discouraging travel to South Africa because of fears around that variant of COVID-19 first identified in the country at the end of 2020. We are essentially, as South Africa, on a banned list in some countries. So how are you making sure that there's some movement in that regard to make sure that you see a spike or some sort of increase in foreign travel?
Look, you're quite correct. The next big step is for us as a country, to really work with, our source markets overseas in the Northern Hemisphere, the UK, your Dutch market, your Germany, your USA. Those are big markets for us. And we need to work with them, through many channels, including diplomatic channels, through our Minister of Tourism, and through, even the President, to ensure that South Africa is taken off the red list, so to speak, from those countries. If we can successfully do that, there's a lot of people that are, that want to travel to South Africa. We've seen some demand. The problem is that, their country are not allowing them to travel to South Africa. So communication and proper communication around the variant and around the things that we've done to curb the spread of the virus and things that we continue to do and the science behind it, needs to be communicated. We want our scientists here in South Africa to talk to the scientists in those countries. And those scientists in those countries, if they understand our scientists, they should be able to advocate for us to say that, the variant that we have here is not so dangerous, it's not different to other variants. In fact, it is in other countries. So we need to do a big PR move when it comes to that. If we don't do that soon, we are not going to recover anytime soon because, international travel is equally as important as domestic travel.
I want to go back to an earlier point you're making around pricing in the tourism industry. There is a view among South Africans that often, especially where accommodation is concerned, the pricing caters to the international market. It's too steep. People tell you that to stay at a 5-star lodge, often the price is what you'd pay for a decent trip abroad. Do you agree with that? Is there a need to review the way in which we're pricing accommodation in order for the tourism sector to attract more local travellers?
Look, we work in a market, economy where, supply and demand dictates, the price of goods. And we're seeing this now with the fact that, we don't have any international, demand. and we saw the price going down for many places across the accommodation value chain. So that will always be driven by the market itself. Supply and demand will dictate how the prices move. In terms of whether, as a country, we are priced, above what the locals can afford, one of the things that I always say is that, we have in accommodation sector various types of accommodation, from 1-star to 5-star. And people who work, in these, various types of accommodation, they offer different types of services. So we have to, ensure that, when we go to various tourism places, we'll go to the places that meets our budget. When you go and buy a car, you don't get there and say, well, I want to pay for this type of a car, but I want that type of a car. It's the same thing. The services are different. There are different types of accommodation, from bed and breakfast, from campsites to 1 to 5-star hotels. Some of them are deluxe. So you got to choose where you want to go. You got to meet that with the budget so that we can sustain the tourism industry. Again,
so in short, those prices aren't coming down, Chipiwa. All right, let's leave it there. Chipiwa Chibenga is the CEO at the Tourism Business Council of South Africa.